Every time I make sadza, I try and experiment with it a little bit, incorporating new flavors, techniques, and ways to enjoy the classic African staple in interesting and new ways. Today's recipe is a gentle introduction into incorporating flavor into nshima, made from white maize meal. Since this dish is going to be a little bit richer than what we're used to, we're going to start by making a fresh pickle that will contrast the richness in the main dish. First, finely dice about 50 grams of onion and throw into a jar. Add 50 grams diced sweet potato. I personally prefer the orange kind for both flavor and color, and finally add 50 grams of diced tomatoes with the skin, seeds, juices and all. For sweetness, add half a tablespoon of sugar, followed by half a teaspoon of salt and 10 milliliters of vinegar. I am using Kaipo vinegar here that I made a while ago, but any spirit vinegar will work just fine. Finally, pour in 100 grams of fresh cold water, close the jar and shake things up to give everything a thorough mix. Set this aside until needed. To make the sadza, combine 1 cup, 140 grams of fufu wechibage, with 2 cups, 480 ml of cold water, and 1 cup, 240 ml of chicken or veggie stock in a small pot. Give everything a brief stir and throw in 40 grams of salted butter. The stock and butter are the first opportunity to introduce new flavors to this dish, and so of course they are very much optional or can be substituted with other seasonings or fats as to your taste and preference. Pop the pot on the stove and bring everything to a boil with semi-regular stirring. Once boiling, I like to bring the heat down to a medium temperature, pop the lid on and let the sadza cook along on its own. We are going to cook this for about 20 to 25 minutes with occasional stirring, so we can definitely focus on the other components of the dish in the meantime. Slice the kernels of 2 sweet corn cobs, about 160 grams, and fry at a medium heat in some oil for a few minutes until they are lightly golden brown. I have chosen sweet corn to enhance and complement the flavor of the maize meal made from white corn. Set the corn aside in a separate bowl, wipe the pan clean if necessary, and add new oil to fry 200 grams of whole cherry tomatoes or whatever small tomato equivalent you can find. Fry at a high temperature with frequent tossing. The tomatoes should char a little and pop as they cook. Remove from the heat when they are the level of cook you enjoy. Here, I am reheating 150 grams of diced leftover chicken breasts that I'm seasoning with kelewele spices and some salt. At around 20 minutes, the sadza should have thickened somewhat. Season with salt to taste. Throw in a splash of sour milk or sour cream, about 30 to 50 milliliters. Fold in some chopped spinach, kale, tsonga, munyeve, or whatever leafy green you got around. About 20 grams, maybe even up to 50 is plenty. You can also include 5 grams of mufushwa at the very beginning when you add the stock and the butter. This will infuse a herbaceous flavor into the sadza and will allow the mufushwa to hydrate. Lastly, add 20 to 30 grams of parmesan cheese and cook for about 5 to 10 minutes more without any stirring. This last part will encourage the formation of a crust at the bottom of the pot, which is always the best part of sadza for me. This goko will form more easily with the addition of butter in the beginning, as well as if you are using a non-stick pot. Plate everything, reheating the chicken, tomatoes and corn together in another pan if necessary, and of course tasting for seasoning, adding a little bit of salt and pepper if needed. I tossed in some toasted egusi seeds for crunch and nuttiness at the very end of plating. Serve your sadza with the pickle we made in the very beginning for some freshness and contrast to the richness that is being contributed to the dish by the dairy. If you have leftover sadza, or as we call it in Shona munya, you can do some prep the day you cook it and have it for another meal in a totally different way. While the leftovers are still slightly warm, roll them into small balls, known as musova, with your hands and save them in the fridge until you need them. To reheat from the fridge, pop them in the oven with the rest of your leftovers at 180 degrees Celsius for about 15 minutes. Once reheated, switch on the grill setting and brown everything for about 1 to 2 minutes until golden and crispy. This is a simple way to reheat the leftovers that reproduces the softness of the sadza on the inside while creating a goko on the outside of the little balls. Pamsoroing.